little over 2 months ago, Wizards of the Coast took over the Commander ban list. When they did, they hinted at potential forthcoming unbans with the goal of modernizing the format's philosophy in the current era of modern card design. They specifically said these would be unbans only, and that there would not be any additional bans immediately, such as the ones which rocked the community back in September. The potential for a big wave of unbans got me thinking about what I believe a modernized Commander ban list should look like. But what about you? What banned cards do you think can safely be unbanned in Commander? Well, here are my thoughts. And before we begin, I want to be clear that I am not going to talk about Jeweled Lotus or Mana Crypt. These certainly were the most controversial bannings in Commander ever, and I said my thoughts on them quite extensively. Let's talk about something else. Such as this. This is banned in Commander, but should it be? Should anything be? There really is a part of me that wants to just say Commander is a casual format that doesn't even need a ban list. It's just a better emphasis on player responsibility in both deck building and communication with your playgroup. Oh, wait. Personal responsibility? Communicating well with others? Yeah, no, that'll never work. So let's talk about what should be unbanned in Commander. Oh, and speaking of banned Magic cards, I'm giving away 25 of the Marvel Secret Layers. They're not actually banned. It's a terrible segue into the fact that I'm giving away 25 of these tomorrow on Friday the 13th. Is it really Friday the 13th? Scary. Tune into my Whatnot stream at 3 o'clock Pacific on Friday, and you might walk away with one of these 25 Marvel Secret Layers. We got the Wolverine, we got the Storm, we got the other ones. There's 25 of them that I'm giving away courtesy of Whatnot. And hey, everyone, real talk, drop the sponsor thing real quick. This isn't part of the ad. Just to be really clear on this, Whatnot comes to me and they say, hey, Prof, here is money to get prizes to give away on your Whatnot streams, pick what it is. And about a week ago, they said, hey, we want to do a big one on Friday. Here's X dollars. What do you want to get? And I thought about it and I thought, Marvel Secret Layers. They're the ones that nobody could get. What if I take that money into brick and mortar shops? That's the other thing I really love to do with these Whatnot giveaways is Whatnot just gives me prize money to buy prizes with. And I go into brick and mortar shops. I'm supporting brick and mortar shops and then giving it away to all of you. No one was in the queue waiting and scalping 25 Marvel Secret Layers. I am not the reason you didn't get a Marvel Secret Layer, nor is Whatnot. This is just a cool opportunity to do something cool, and I tried to do something cool, and people are being really mean and yelling at me a lot and saying I'm why that they couldn't get a Marvel Secret Layer. Wizards of the Coast is the problem, not me. They're the ones who changed the system. I bought one set to give away just in general, and then again, it was about a week ago that Whatnot's like, hey, how about money to buy prizes to give away to your viewers? And I'm like, I love that. And I thought the Marvel Secret Layer, that was my idea. So we spent the money in brick and mortar shops that had these, and I'm giving them away. And it's meant to be a good, cool thing. Let's get back to the ad because that's why they paid the money. So Whatnot is basically just if eBay and Twitch had a baby. People like me go on there, we've got storefronts, we've got buy it now items, we sometimes run some auctions and giveaways. There's Magic the Gathering things and all kinds of other cool things on Whatnot. And when you create an account using my invite link, you get $15 credit to spend on anything. How do you like that? $15 for Magic products in my store on Whatnot or anyone's store on Whatnot. We got Magic packs, we got signed playmats, we got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, $15 credit to spend on whatever you want, whatever magic. You can use it towards a big Magic item. You can get some packs. $15 when you use my code, and tune in on Friday and maybe walk away with a Marvel Secret Layer. It's good vibes, people. Come on, money. Well, credit. I mean, you don't get the cash, but you get $15 credit and Magic cards. Credit for Magic cards, free Magic cards, and hanging out with the professor with great off-the-cuff, unscripted ramblings like I'm doing right now. That's fun, right? Join me on Whatnot, 3 o'clock this Friday. All right, and it's not banned. I don't know why I did the banned segue, but let's talk about what should be unbanned. Before we get to the true top 5 list, I want to talk about a category of card currently on the Commander ban list that I believe are absolute relics of a bygone era of Commander regulation. The expensive sorceries that effectively end the game if they resolve. These are cards like Biorhythm, which is banned, Coalition Victory, which is banned, and Sway the Stars, which cost 8 mana, 8 mana, and 10 mana respectively, and each does a big splashy thing that warrants that hefty mana cost. Biorhythm makes every player's life total equal to the number of creatures they control. Coalition Victory wins you the game if you have a creature for every color and a land for each basic land type, while Sway the Stars essentially resets the game, but with everyone's life totals at 7? Yeah, 7. Realistically, it has always been hard to both cast and resolve these cards in a typical game of Commander, but that's always been true. So what has been the justification for them to stay banned? The Commander ban list has, for many years, been more about providing a framework that describes the format's philosophy than it is about banning cards that are too powerful. Cards like Biorhythm, Coalition Victory, and Sway the Stars are banned because the Rules Committee wanted to say to players, hey, maybe don't do this sort of thing in Commander. Well, I could certainly see the argument for that half a decade ago, or even further back in the past. I'm not sure that holds up in the present day of broken Commander card design. After all, why is Biorhythm any more egregious of a way to spend 8 mana than sinking 8 into Craterhoof Behemoth? Is setting up a Coalition Victory kill, which could potentially be blown out by a well-targeted Swords to Plowshares, or Beast Within, or any number of other cards? Is that any more obnoxious than hitting the table with an end-of-turn Cyclonic Rift? In fact, let's also compare Cyclonic Rift to Sway the Stars. Sway the Stars is a sorcery that costs 3 more mana. Self-regulation is foundational to Commander's identity. This will only become more true once Wizards of the Coast eventually releases their formalized bracket system for ranking deck power levels. I personally do not believe these big sorcery speed plays are a problem in Commander, and in fact, I think they have the potential to make for some fun game moments. Sway the Stars, for example, creates a crazy minigame where everyone has 7 life and has to race to the finish line when starting from square one. Biorhythm either wins the game immediately the same way a lot of other 8 mana spells do, or it creates crazy blowout opportunities if a player casts an instant speed one-sided Wrath. Of the 3, Coalition Victory is the one I am most sympathetic to leaving banned. That's because it's very easy to have full domain and a single 5-color creature. Prismatic Omen, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and Overlord of the Hauntwoods all give you full domain with a single card. And I don't need to tell you how many 5-color creatures exist in Magic. Still, it's an 8-mana sorcery. If it wins the game, who cares? Just shuffle up and play again. Alright, but let's talk about the real list of cards that should just be unbanned in Commander already. Down at number 5 is Braid's Cabal Minion. Alright, don't groan, hear me out. Braids is one of the quintessential stacks pieces in Magic. 4 mana for a black 2/2 that makes each player sacrifice a land, creature, or artifact on upkeep. She's pretty annoying if left unchecked, and having her in the command zone makes it impossible to permanently check her. I get that. I also get that you can cast her pretty easily on turn 2, either through mana rocks or with ritual effects. That is indeed all problematic, I agree. But is she the only problematic 4 mana commander? No, of course not. There are a lot of very broken 4 mana mono-colored commanders. I'm not even convinced Braids would be the strongest mono-black commander. Tergrid would still give her a really annoying run for her money. Saying that a card is not a problem because it just dies to removal is a silly argument that became a Magic meme, but in Braid's case, she really does die to removal, y'all. 2 toughness means there are a huge number of ways to kill her on turn 1 before you have to sacrifice any cards. And then she costs 6 mana, which takes a lot longer to get to in a mono-black deck. It's also not like you'll be caught off guard by Braids either. She's in the command zone, you know she's coming. If someone whips out a Braids deck at Commander Night, you know what you're up against. If your opening hand doesn't have an answer to Braids, here's a pro tip. Take that free mulligan so that you do have an answer to Braids. It's a common theme on this list, but Braids is another case of a card that easily self-regulates. The games where she's most problematic are the ones where she runs away with the game early. When that happens, so what? The game is over quickly. The secret to handling a Braids player at the table is a shift in attitude for what makes a game of Commander fun. A lot of the time, that's everyone getting to do their thing at some point in the game, but every once in a while, I do think it's fun to have a really scrappy game where no one gets to do their thing because of some wonky stuff happening at the table. Then it's an all-out fight in the mud to see who comes out on top. For a change of pace, I think that kind of game has a lot of value. Number 4 on the list is like the billion mana sorcery category, except somehow even easier to interact with. Panoptic Mirror. Panoptic Mirror is a 5 mana artifact with imprint. For X mana, you can tap the mirror to imprint an instant or sorcery card from your hand under the mirror. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose a card imprinted onto the mirror and copy it. You may cast the copied spell without paying its mana cost. Right off the bat, this card is, of course, broken, with an extra turn effect imprinted under it. If you put Time Warp under the Panoptic Mirror, and you manage to untap without being disrupted, you'll take infinite turns and win the game, sure. But that's a 10 mana play. You gotta spend 5 for the mirror, and then 5 to imprint the Time Warp. Technically, you could exile Savor the Moment under the mirror to shave 2 mana off the investment, but then you don't get an untap step, so that severely limits your ability to win with your infinite turns. But let's say you manage to do this. You pay 10 mana, you put a Time Warp under the mirror, then you pass the turn. Each of your opponents gets a full turn to find a disenchant for your mirror. If they do, you take a significant hit, as you wasted a ton of mana on your turn. If no one can find a disenchant, then they're still not totally dead. They could dedicate each of their remaining turns to hitting your face with their creatures. Given you just spent 10 mana on your win condition without affecting the board, you probably don't have the best defenses up. Let's say you can't disenchant the mirror and they can't aggro you out of the game before you untap. They still have another option. Delay your win with a counter spell or silence effect. If an opponent can counter your copied Time Warp, or they cast Silence with the mirror trigger on the stack, then they've bought each of your opponents an additional turn to find an answer, either to your mirror or to your life total. And hey, if they don't do all that, good job, you've won the game with your 10 mana play. Shuffle up and play again. The number 3 card on this list is probably a very controversial pick. Well, at least until you see my number 2 card. Nonetheless, I believe Primeval Titan, one of the most deceptively powerful cards in Magic, should come off the ban list. Primeval Titan was initially banned because it's just too easy. 6 mana is a trivial threshold for a green deck to reach early, and once Prime Time starts rolling, it snowballs out of hand very quickly. Even a single Enters trigger is enough to assemble powerful 2-land combos like Dark Depths and Thespian Stage, or Cabal Coffers and Board, or just grab a Field of the Dead and another land and start making zombies. But while I do believe there was a time when this play pattern was too strong and too simple at casual Commander tables, I also believe that time has long since passed. Be honest with me here, is Primeval Titan stronger than other, newer 6 mana plays like Farewell, Bolas' Citadel, or Ancient Copper Dragon? Is it stronger than 7 mana plays like Nyx Bloom Ancient, Breach the Multiverse, Ruinous, or Eerie Ultimatum? What makes a big card too strong for Commander? Sure, Primeval Titan is really strong if left unchecked, but if it isn't, say you cast it, get your trigger, then it dies to a Swords to Plowshares. That's not that different from casting a Titania's Command or Hour of Promise, is it? I just believe once you start talking about too good or too easy, you have to be able to define a clear philosophy for what metric you're using. Sylvan Primordial is a good example of a more egregious version of what Prime Time does. A single Sylvan Primordial trigger is pretty obnoxious. If you're able to blink it or recast it, especially if you do it over and over, that creates a really miserable play experience for your opponents. The same, I think, is true with Sundering Titan. These are cards that are interfering with your opponents in really oppressive ways. Primeval Titan doesn't. It assembles your land combos, yes, but a lot of cards already do that. Lands decks are not struggling to find their lands in Magic. There are a ton of land tutors in Magic, so why is Primeval Titan specifically not okay? Alright, we're down to the top 2 cards that I think should be unbanned in Commander, and I think number 2 is probably an even more controversial pick than number 1, or number 3. What is it? Well, our number 2 pick for unbanning in Commander is another 5 mana artifact, though this one does not have a colorless identity. It has a 5-color identity, that's right, it's Golos! Tireless Pilgrim, I'm talking about it. For those not familiar, Golos is known as the most ubiquitous 5-color commander, or at least it was until it was banned. 5 mana for a 3/5 that tutors for a land, and then has a big expensive 5-color activated ability that casts cards for free from the top of the deck. The Golos ban a few years back caused quite a stir. The reason for its ban was its popularity. The Rules Committee felt like it overshadowed the other 5-color commanders. If you wanted to play a 5-color deck, it was hard to make a justification to play a commander that wasn't Golos from a strength standpoint alone. Sorry, Dragon, Golos was the best Dragons commander. And sorry, Sisay, Golos was the best Legends commander. Sorry, various legendary slivers, but Golos was the best Slivers commander. Now, I'm not going to argue that this fact is not a fact. It's a fact. Instead, I'm going to argue that this fact is not adequate justification for Golos remaining banned. Here's my argument. Who cares? Commander is literally overflowing with best-in-class cards that would push out other more niche cards for inclusion in decks if players only cared about doing the best thing. It's an inextricable aspect of a 99-card singleton format with a 20,000 card pool. I feel like I'm beating the word self-regulation to death in this video, but that's literally what this format is. If you want to play a Slivers deck, you will pick the Sliver commander you think is the coolest. That's why I run Sliver Overlord instead of better Sliver commanders. I think Overlord is way cooler. Watch me play it here against Pleasant Kenobi. Ultimately, I do not think this card is too popular is a good reason to ban a card in a casual format. If anything, it's a fantastic reason not to ban a card. Golos is very generically strong, yes, but I don't think that that's really a big problem. If you want to play a 5-color Dragons deck, who cares if Golos is better than the Dragon? The Dragon is a dragon. You're playing dragons because you love dragons. You're gonna have a dragon commander. And there's also the fact that there's a lot of really cool 5-color strategies that Golos is uniquely suited to helm. Gates decks, lands decks, artifacts decks, Super Friends decks. These are archetypes that really loved their Golos commander. Did I say Golos? It's Golos. Golos or go home. So what is the number 1 card I think should be unbanned in Commander? While not quite as controversial as our number 2 and number 3 picks, I do think it is the biggest item on this list by far and really should be unbanned. That card is... The number 1 card on our list is, in my humble opinion, the most fun card on the list, and that's Gifts Ungiven. Wait, this is banned in Commander? Why? Gifts Ungiven is a 4-mana blue instant that tutors for 4 cards with different names and asks an opponent to pick 2 for your graveyard and then send the others to your hand. Alright, I do know why this card was banned. In a singleton format with easy access to graveyard synergy, it's not hard for this to be a 4-mana tutor for 4 at instant speed. That's certainly very good, but is it too good? Is it unfun? Is it ban-worthy? I really just don't think so. I love how flexible the card is. Picking the right quartet of cards to Gifts Ungiven for a particular board state is an exciting mental puzzle. It's not even just a one-person puzzle either. The opponent who has to pick the piles is also tasked with a fun puzzle. And there are cool ways to set up a pile to guarantee access to the cards you want, such as by choosing an Eternal Witness and a Regrowth as 2 of the cards, or by only choosing 2 cards to ensure they both go to the graveyard, such as a big creature and an Unburial Rites. These workarounds are hallmarks of a fun card, a card that provides innumerable options for how to make use of it. The biggest argument in favor of unbanning Gifts Ungiven, though, is the direct comparison between it and Intuition. Intuition costs 1 less mana to tutor for 1 less card. That puts it at a very similar power level to Gifts Ungiven. So why is Intuition legal while Gifts Ungiven is banned? Gifts Ungiven is the kind of card that scales depending on the power level of your deck. In a low-powered deck, it's simply a cool toolbox card selection effect that creates interesting and unique game moments. In high-powered decks, yeah, it can set up a win, but that's true of a lot of high-powered commander cards. It's certainly true of Demonic Tutor. I strongly believe that a card like Gifts Ungiven is one that scales clearly and naturally with deck power level to a degree that it's exactly the kind of card that should be legal in Commander, not illegal. You know, Commander is, first and foremost, a casual format. Different playgroups have different ideas of fun, and I really do feel strongly that the format is better served with a light touch from a banning perspective rather than a highly prescriptive, this is okay and this is not okay approach. And I know a few of these picks like Golos and Primetime will have players livid at the idea, but I really do think that there's no way to ever fully regulate a format like Commander. You cannot ban Commander into working because it's a broken format that only works when we all pretend it works. But hey, those are just my thoughts and opinions, and now I want to hear from you. What do you think needs to be unbanned in Commander and why? Not Jeweled Lotus, please, not Mana Crypt. We've talked about those to death already. Come on, Gifts Ungiven. What do you think of Gifts? I never hear anyone talk about Gifts Ungiven. It was my #1 pick. What do you think? Anything else you think needs to be banned still in Commander? Like, oh, this is the card. We ban this card, that'll make the format work. Well, let me know in the comments below. And remember, I'm giving away 25 of the Marvel Secret Layers tomorrow, Friday, or today if you're watching it a day late, Friday, the 13th, 3 o'clock on Whatnot. These are fun to throw and catch. I didn't scalp these. I bought them from brick and mortar stores with Whatnot's money, and then I'm just giving them to you. There's no ethical capitalism, but that's pretty close. That's pretty cool. Use my link and get $15 credit to spend on magic things. Sure, let's all go there together. Come on, it's free magic cards. I am not the reason you didn't get these. I bought one set. I waited in line 2 hours. 2 hours to buy one set with the intent of not even keeping it for myself and giving it away on Whatnot. And then about a week ago, Whatnot came to me and they said, we'd love to do a big giveaway. Here's money for you to spend at local game stores and then give away the things you buy. That's how it works. It's pretty cool. So I was like, all right, Marvel Secret Lair. Let's give that away. That is a true story. So stop yelling at me, please. I'm very sensitive, in case you hadn't noticed. I just want to do good in the world through capitalism. How's that working out for your profit? That's all right. Come get a Marvel Secret Lair. Come get $15 credit. Come hang out with me on Whatnot at 3 o'clock on Friday. Or at any time. You can go on and spend the credit anywhere. That's cool too. Thank you, Whatnot, for doing this. It's fun and free. Thank you. Whatnot.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, we are breaking the mold. Our commanders are not what they appear because we have all tried to build decks that go against the grain.
Mono black 5-color deck. I'm so here for this.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh,
Okay.
Blanca Kraken!
Oh, what the hell kind of deck is this?
Well, not really a death laser, but it is a pretty impactful value engine. Please respond.
I love the mug in the camera, Hollywood hire.
I'm available. The strike is over.
When you make the professor cringe, you know you Urza.
No.
Oh, you got the
Oh, you're coming at me, huh? Yeah!
You
That's
and
what
what
I
mana?
thought!
attack.
You and what mana, you poor Narset, the Enlightened Tutor.
It's also Narset part of Veils.
What did I say?
Enlightened Tutor.
Oh.